Hi, I'm The Wraith and I'm here to tell you a little bit about the music projects I'm working on at the moment for video editors out there. Basically my music comes from nowhere. I just do it and there it is. So a lot of the time I don't really play anything extra over the top. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, sometimes I just I'll record my material as a MIDI file and then that way I can embellish it later with chopping it up and changing some bits to trumpets and some bits to flutes, strings, saxophones, drop additional drum elements in, but the majority of my music comes in real time with normally one keyboard just hooked into the PC with a record what you hear option, so you're getting the keyboard instruments, and then I also try and get it to record as a MIDI at the same time, which I haven't exactly got a great computer, so that's not very easy. But one of the examples from Trailer Music and Scores Volume 2, when I go back over some of my earlier CDs that I actually started to put together, and I listen to bonus tracks such as the track 37, I Look Back and You Weren't There, Neither Was the Planet. The name came basically when I sat down and actually started listening to the pieces I'd recorded that day, and most tracks get a working title, take 1, track 2, take 3, possibly track 4, and they're all random file names, and then when you listen to them you give them another name, and I think this was one of the only names that ever truly stuck, was I Look Back and You Weren't There and Neither Was the Planet. And I actually put the original recording in a bonus folder and worked on the track a bit more in an editor using VST plugins to change the instruments behind what I played. So it's not samples, it's my composition, only where I was playing it on a piano with strings in the background, it's now got much more vibrant strings, which is what it's all about at the end of the day. But this is how one of them actually kicks off to start with. The dog's not part of the track, by the way. That's one of the annoyances I have to live with here. But that's a basic bog standard real-time sample of it. So if you note how it actually kicks off, and then the final mix of the track that I orchestrated for the album itself was dropped in as track 24, I Looked Back and You Weren't There and Neither Was the Planet, and it's a reprise version, which this kicks off a lot more differently. Now, for a lot of people, they probably can't hear much difference, and for other people, they can probably hear differences, and some will think this version's better, and some will think the other version's better. Personally, going back over this CD, I think this version is it's a lot more embellished. There's my regular co-star. Ice cream van, dogs barking. Welcome to my life. Personally, I think this track has too much going on. It's an emotional piece of music. For a CD track, it stands alone, do you know what I mean? It fills the room. But I think here, where the emotion's really supposed to kick in, I think the ambient swirls in the background are over the top, to be honest. Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon moment. It's a little bit too toppy. I don't think the swirls work really well for it. I think this sounds much nicer. Definitely a much nicer string section too. Even though that string section's in the other track, it's really truly overshadowed by the ambient swirls from the Korg. Now the thing with my music is, as it states everywhere, it's once you buy my music you can use it in your videos on YouTube. But if you want to sell your films on DVD for a lot more than what the disc is worth, then you should probably get in touch, which you can through the blog, or you can message me on YouTube. You can get in touch with me on Facebook. My YouTube channel's got all the different places that I drop into occasionally, right down the right hand side of the YouTube. But at the moment there's about 7 albums and there's probably about 680 tracks. Now there's no way to get them into the YouTube audio swap library, which is what I originally tried to do. I also basically bootlegged my first 3 albums to make sure some of my stuff got out there. But I haven't seen that many people using it, to be honest, and some of the tracks, your typical bank robbery piece of music. But it depends what you're going to be using it for. That's the issue, do you know what I mean? In cinemas this July. Does it? It depends what you're using it for, you know what I mean? I've used some on podcast jingles I've made for people. I've made some radio station jingles as well, which kind of unusual, wacky, different. It's Halloween. Everyone at Central Radio International would like to wish you all a happy Halloween. Basically there seems to be no end to what I actually do when it comes to music. It just flows and flows. So there's going to be more over time, a lot more. It's a case of trying to get it marketed correctly. So in the meantime, you guys are basically free to use it, free to enable monetization and actually earn money off your own vids. At some stage it's probably going to come up that there's been a copyright claim from a third party, but it's not going to affect your video status. It just means I've worked out a license deal with someone, and you end up with an advert that pops up at the bottom of your video. But I won't be entered into none of these wait 5 seconds, press skip for the advert. I'm not going to batter that across YouTube because it's unfair, and it defeats the object of why I'm doing this music anyway. I mean, making money out of my music is just a bonus. Like I said before, I'm not qualified, I'm not trained. It's a gift and it's a curse. It's something I was born with. So I'm going to do this anyway, or to try and make some money out of it too. So the more you can plug me music for me, the better. But it's not just music now too, it's ambient drones, atmospherics, mood setters, sound effects. You know, but this is stuff you can basically use in your movies on YouTube. People would say that sounds like Yao. There's other stuff that sounds like Hans Zimmer, stuff that's going to sound like all kinds, do you know what I mean? But the thing is, that's what big cinema sounds are. The whole in cinemas, coming soon and all that. And a lot of you guys are using really weird music. Stuff's getting banned. You know, your video only needs to be banned in Germany. I mean, this is the crazy thing, is a lot of people don't realise that some of these obscure countries your video gets banned in, they're your biggest viewer. I mean, when I was doing Airwolf edits, my biggest viewers were United States and Vietnam. Do you know what I mean? United States and Vietnam. And Russia. I seem to have this massive fan base in Russia. It's really strange, you know, but imagine if the likes of David Hasselhoff would have had a block in Germany, which a lot of stuff gets blocked in Germany. Bryan Adams' music, a lot of his gets blocked in Germany when you put it on YouTube. Now, Germany's David Hasselhoff's biggest audience, do you know what I mean? So, video bans are never the way to go anyway, and you have the opportunity to use some really decent music that should inspire you as well. You know what I mean? Plus, don't forget, you know, a lot of music tracks, they can be overlaid, mixed and matched. I mean, that's the idea of mixing in post-edit audio when you're making a movie anyway, is you don't just grab a 3-minute track off a movie soundtrack and drop it in, and you know what I mean? You chop, you cut, you paste, you snip, you pinch, you steal, you rob, you take bits from all over the track and you mash it all together, and you build the scene how you want the scene to be. You can't afford a composer. You should not take a piece of music and just drop it in and then build your scene around the music, because your scene will never work and it will never shine. The track might sell it if the track's any good, but you're always going to regret it. However much people like it, you're never going to be happy with it. The idea of this music is you can chop it. You can take a 1.5-minute track and use 30 seconds of one track, 40 seconds of another track. Some of my tracks, the way I've got the reprise versions, you can drop the original in, the reprise, there'll be another version of it with different instruments. You can mix and match, you can have it build, you can have it drop, you can have it just explode at the moment you want it to explode at. With the ability to have music like this at your fingertips, it's such a cheap price too. It will blow people away when they watch your stuff, it really will. Doesn't matter how good your editing is, not many people out there are actually musicians, do you know what I mean? And even the ones that are, most of them are qualified and they're trained, and they can tell you this has got a 8-beat and a 4-step beat and all that, and it's all irrelevant. When you want a piece of music for a scene, you want music from someone that doesn't have to watch your video. They can just play a piece of music and then visualise as they're playing, and the music evolves in real time. It's not composed on paper with a pen and little dots and semi-quavers and all that rubbish. It's done right from the heart with emotion and imagination, and that's what generally makes my music work. And as I said earlier, you can mix and match the tracks, which that's one of the coolest aspects. Don't forget, most of the trailer music houses, Immediate Music, Two Steps from Hell, APM, Select Tracks, a lot of these places, they're really expensive, and they also, a lot of them do not sell to the public, which means unless you can get your movie into a trailer house, you're still not going to get the music on a trailer, let alone even attempt to get that music in a film that's on for anywhere from 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, to a 30-minute series once a week. There's music here and it's available, and they're having problems with the store at the moment, which is just typical with Christmas being around the corner. But you should check out the music, and when you listen to them, check out the names of the tracks, because the names of the tracks, they're just one scenario. That's all the name of the track is. A piece of music can fit a million moods, especially if it's played correctly. Like Memories and Flashbacks, there's a happy version and there's an angry version. You can blend the two, and there's a confused version. What you do in the editor once you bought my music is entirely up to you. All I say is, if you know your movie makes it big and you start selling it on DVDs, maybe you should just go buy a couple of my albums or something, a little kickback for me, rather than just paying 99p for some piece of music that sounds just as epic as Hans Zimmer, and you're making like a tenner a pop off a disc and that. It's, you know, this does come out of nowhere, but it still takes time, you know, and that's time I could be spending doing something else, and I'm not. I'm spending it doing music because it's fun, you know what I mean? A lot of the wah wah stuff's actually from the Heists album. This is a load of bank robbery tracks. That's called You Better Run, but that's easily used for a bogus news report, you know what I mean? I'll use a 10 crap. I'm very limited with orchestral for vocals at the moment. I have a couple of choir VSTs, but I can pull off certain vocals with the keyboard for that choir mass effect, but I'm still having a few teething issues with that. You can see when I go in the high range with the keyboard, they're a little chipmunkish, but depends on your scene, doesn't it, to whether it's going to sell, but I can pull off certain vocal stuff with it. Cheesy cliche too. This is one of the choir VSTs. Much better than the deeper range. Well, with recording as MIDI, one of the other bonuses is I get to go back and mess about with a track and change something that used to be a piano to something completely different, which is always cool. Access to proper orchestral stuff like this. It's like this is a 8.5 minute piece of music. And it's all done in real time. That's not real time is the addition with the guitar. But the guitar just adds so much more to it. But the likes of this, you know, this is available with the guitar, without the guitar. It's available with the wind, without the wind, without the guitar or the wind. It's optional stuff. It's worth checking out. Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me bore you to death. And enjoy the albums when they're finally selling them again, because they're still having issues apparently. But you can always contact me if you want to buy anything directly. Have fun.